we've just hit the go live button. I'll start by saying welcome councillors and officers. A request to put your phone to silent or to off would be appreciated. Reminders that the meeting is both. I think for a second it was being recorded and replayed, but it was. Are we good to go, do you think? Just hold on. Technical advisors, yes, it's.
And video on.
Slide. Okay, thank you very much. So it is being recorded and it is being live streamed. So the health and safety message, I think we all know where the emergencies exits are and where we need to assemble in case anything bad happens. And in the event we experience unruly, intimidating behaviour, we will adjourn until it is safe for us to reconvene. So we'll start with a karakia. Feel free to join in. Kia ora te marenoa, kia whakapapa.
Aina me te moana, e ora i ngā tātau e te rangi, aroha atu, aroha mai, no i a tātou katoa.
Sure, thank you. So we have one apology from Councillor Woodcock. Do we have any others, please? Okay, do we have a mover for that apology?
Aidan is not.
Yeah, Aidan. Oh, wait, no, Aidan was had to go to Australia for work. So, yeah, he had given his apologies in.
Yeah. Okay.
School holidays, he's away with school holidays, what it is?
Woody had an issue that he needed to attend to this morning and is hoping to be here a bit later.
Right, so we have apologies from Councillors Woodcock and Dealer.
So I need to go and apologies at 9:30. I've got a doctor's appointment through Kathleen.
Okay, and we have a requested apology for an early departure. Councillor Macaulay, do I have a mover to approve those? I do. Councillor Gray, seconder. Councillor Rolls, all in favour, please say aye. Thank you. Any conflicts of interest? There being none, move on to acknowledgements and tributes if there are any. There being none, we'll move on to the business of the day. And at this point,
Sorry, excuse me, it's extraordinary business. I spoke to Janice the other day about whether it would be appropriate to do a verbal report on the regional land transport plan deliberations I was at last week, just to brief councillors. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to do it or not.
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
right.
It depends, is it time bound? Could it wait until the 31st or is
Yeah.
it something we need to know today?
Oh, it's a verbal that I was at deliberations last week. It's so that people, because we've got to confirm that deliberation early next month, and then we've got the Rimataka road users group. So it might. So,
And I think RTC are meeting next week as well, so it'd be useful to know.
How long do you need?
5 minutes.
So go for it.
Yeah, okay, so I'm on the regional land transport plan, which is a 6-yearly statutory plan. Every 3 years it gets reviewed, so we've just done the 3-yearly review. There was 500 and something submissions on it. We had deliberations, hearings over 2 days last week. A couple of things that came out of it. It was very obvious that even though I was there as the Wairarapa representative, we are seen as 3 small councils here. And even though I'm very well supported by the Mayor of Upper Hutt and by the Council of Tony, it was very clear that even though we are one of the biggest economic drivers in the region, our issues basically didn't even make the top 30 projects. And when I've raised the strategic issue of the Rimataka Hill, and the amount of traffic that goes over it each day and the economic drivers, particularly from our agricultural users to get their product to the port or one of the exchange ports. So there's 3 exchange ports to the port. There's the ferry and then there's the airport. If the Rimataka Hill closes, there is no way for our produce to get to wherever it's got to go. And I don't think it's actually realised that well. And of course, Wellington City dominates that sort of talk a little bit because of the size of it. Very well supported by, as I said, Pairua and Upper Hutt, who get it because they're outside. The Road Users Forum, who there were 2 groups that actually did presentations on it, talked a lot about the improvements on the south side of the Rimatakas has made it much easier for transport, particularly getting around the corners, but there's a whole lot of corners on this side of the road that basically trucks can't pass each other and it's dangerous and it's, we all know it. So whilst it's not going to be on the list for the next 3 years, whoever takes over on that council, we've started the conversation that we might be able to get it onto the plan for the next land transport. But also Wakakotahi are coming to the road, what's the forum called, the Rimataka Users Committee or whatever it's called. Wakakotahi is coming to that. Emily, is it Emily? Emma, she's coming over for it. She's conscious that there may well be some under $2 million improvements, and therefore it's in a different fund and so on. So the Road Transport Authority are going to send us their picks of which corners need to be fixed, so we can submit that into the plan. The hearings were very interested. It's of the 500 odd submissions, the vast majority were about walking and cycling in Wellington City. So and it just struck me that even though it's a regional plan, it just seemed to focus about Wellington City.
It's quite centric.
And a tunnel and through Mount Vic and how to get to the trains and how to get, all that sort of stuff. And, I was sitting next to a councillor from Wellington, when I spoke about trucks carrying sheep, he goes, oh, well, what happens if the port's closed? I said, well, on the truck they can go back. He said, why can't they go on the train? I go, well, because under your legislation of health and safety of animals, they can't, because there's no way for the animals to shouldn't piss, there's no water on the trains, there's no yards to get them on and off. And so road is the only way. So I just don't think they actually understand how road transport is so critical to this district. But it was good actually being there to get that message across.
So thank you to Alistair for being that Wairarapa wide representative, and just as a slight bit of backstory to that. So the RTC, the Regional Transport Committee, that has representatives from all 3 councils on it. So Ron, Gary, Martin, and then myself, and that committee have fed into the plan. And so even with 3 strong Wairarapa voices in that committee, like Alistair has said, it is very hard to actually make the list in terms of priorities for roading.
I think the other thing that really struck me was that the Greater Wellington City Councils are very much of the view amalgamation is better, because then they get a greater say on how it goes. And their view was very much the same here, that we speak with one voice here is better than 3 individual voices, albeit represented by one person. That's a strength of coordination.
Was the Waihinga Bridge brought up at all?
No, it's not in the top 30. It's not on the top 30 list. It was submitted on. So AA Wairarapa submitted on it. I am bringing it up at the Rimataka one because it's critical for it's all parcel of it.
And now that AA's come on board as well, I think.
Yeah, AA Wairarapa was on board. The AA Wellington didn't present on that. It's in the submission.
Alistair, this is great having a little brief like this, it's always good to be able to digest, but it is difficult to digest what you're trying to tell us. I'm just wondering if there's either minutes that we can look at for them, or you present a report in writing so that we can actually start asking.
I asked Janice whether to do
Yeah.
Probably,
I don't think we can criticise the councillor for asking to give an
I'm not
oral
criticising
and then he gives an oral report.
I'm not
It was-
criticizing him, I'm just asking.
yeah, look, the plan is massive. I think it's
I know,
900
but it'd be
pages.
nice to condense it down to something that we understand and then we can ask questions on, simple as that.
So really the plan sets out the top 30 priorities for land transport in the region. And it includes the government's roads of national significance as priorities in there. And then, so what happens is, whilst that's the priority listing in the Wellington region, it then goes into the big pool of funding that Waka Kotahi gets all these plans from all around the district. And then they sort of say, what's their priority? And then when they're looking and say, oh, we've got this money, they then go into your regional one and say, well, the money wasn't spent there. So we go to the next one, which may well be something in the Wellington region. So even though it's the top 30 priorities, doesn't mean that those are the top 30 things that are going to get done. And a lot of it also, if you remember when we got the Rumataka Hill on the south side done, that was suddenly done because the consenting had been done, the planning had been done, some money came available and Waka Kotahi went, oh, I've got some money, here we go. So you can leapfrog these things if we get our shit together.
We'll make councillor Macaulay's final comment here.
Ask a question. You, Chair. So does the Rumataka Hill, does that tie up at all with the bridge too? I mean, because the route right through, or are they two separate?
Two separate
Prioritisations, yeah, okay.
Thanks, councillor. So we've moved to decision reports from the CE and officers, and starting with remission of uniform annual charge and uniform. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This report is with you today because following on from our last council meeting, we went back and had a look at what we had done through the rate review consultation and the amalgamation of all of your emission policies into one document. We had legal advice that maybe things were not as clear as they could have been for the community around remissions. So this paper is here today to rescind the resolutions that were made on the 26th of June meeting around the remission policies. So that was decision point 2 and 3, and then policy 4.5 from that agenda. So they are the 3 remission policies. So to rescind those today and then to commence next week on a 2-week consultation with the public on those 3 policies so that we can then add them into the policy if you decide to do that in September. So the consultation will run from the 22nd of July to the 5th of August. We will then pull all of that information together and come back to you for a formal decision to either add them or not. So that's the purpose of the paper today. And then you've got attached the draft document that we will put out through all of our normal channels and make sure that it's available in paper form at our libraries and offices so that people can pick a paper copy. And the consultation questions are quite simple in terms of, do you agree with the remission 1, 2 or 3? And is there anything else that you think we should need to know about remissions? I think it's important to note that the issue of SUPs is not new to South Wairarapa District Council. You've had SUPs for a while. All that's happening now is that they're being added, and on page 6 of the agenda, which is page 2 of the consultation document, it shows what the new SUP-based rates are, which is the uniform annual general charge and the targeted eroding rate. But you also have existing SUPs for refuse collection, water and wastewater, and they've been there for some time. We've listened, and obviously you have listened to the feedback through submissions, through hearings, and through the public participation about concerns. And that's what's given rise to the 3 remission policies that we are going out to the public on.
Councillor.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. Look, I understand what we're doing here. I just think it's just bureaucratic nonsense because we submitted, we put out our plan, we heard submissions on the issue, and we took those issues into consideration and we adjusted our plans accordingly. my understanding is that's what hearings are about, isn't it? And now we've heard the public, we've listened to them, we've made the adjustments, which I would have thought is good decision-making, good practice. And now we're going, oh, good practice, but go out and consult again. It just seems completely and utterly pointless because we heard what the public had to say about our emissions policy. We took it on board and we've done what the law says. To have to go out and do this again is just another cost to our ratepayers. And quite frankly, nothing's going to change because we've actually put into our emissions policy what we heard in our submissions, and to remove that area of, the confusion. I just think this is silly, but I understand why we have to do it, but I just think it's silly.
I think you had a question and Councillor Maynard, and then I've got one too.
So sort of a question and a comment, just reiterating for my own benefit, and I guess for the benefit of those watching and listening as well. This consultation purely and only the remission policies. And that is because of work done back during the rating review. So this is pre-EAP, this is rating review where perhaps the documentation wasn't quite as explicit as it could have been. Is that correct?
That's the legal finding.
Yeah, so that's the legal finding. So we're really just now dotting our I's and crossing our T's.
That was the confirmation that I was actually about to, with regards to the fact that we're just following our legal advice with this, so.
Yes, I understand that. I think it might have been more helpful, at least for myself, if we'd had a little bit of explanation of what the legal advice was actually advising and why. I mean, have we breached some component of the Local Government Act, for example, or come close to doing that? Because I do wonder, and I sort of pick up Alistair's point, that if we ask for any further feedback on the remissions and somebody raises a good idea and we think, oh my goodness, that sounds very sensible. How did we ever overlook it and adopt it? Are we now likely to be criticised if we didn't consult on it, for example, whatever that good idea is? So I sort of tend to go along with Councillor Plymouth, unless we're clear what it is that we actually omitted to do. I'm not sure of the value, but other options, opinions, views.
Is Janice able to shed some light on that?
So my only other thing is was Councillor Plymouth's comment about that nothing will change. So I would have thought that doing this consultation would actually help to give us a steer, so there would possibly be changes. And my concern is that your belief, because we have already put through for the enhanced annual plan, that we're now unable to change anything, or is that not the case because we're going out to consult with regards to this, so that things could in fact be changed?
No, my comment was that this represents what we heard in our deliberations, and we're now going out to confirm what we heard in deliberations. And I don't see that we've met the concerns that were raised by our shop owners and our farmers and so on. So I just don't see that we're going to make any, there's not going to, what's changing? We've actually heard from the public. We've made the changes and we're going out now, which is just going to be an expense. That's my point. And the other thing I would say that, yes, I understand that it came from the rates review, but we spoke about this and said that people were able to raise at the EAP all the issues that came up in that consultation. So people have had two opportunities to be consulted on the remissions policy. When we did the rates review, And they've now done it in the AP. This will be the third time now we're going out to consult on a remissions policy. And, you know, we're elected to make decisions, for God's sake. We've heard from the public. This will be the third time we'll have heard from the public on rates remissions. How many times do we need to consult? We've consulted twice, heard twice, made decisions, made adjustments to try and reflect the views of the public. And whilst I acknowledge the legal zone and so forth, it's advice. It's not.
Through the chair, section 102.3A or 4A of the Local Government Act says a local authority must consult on a draft policy in a manner that gives effect to the requirements of section 82 before adopting a policy under this section, and that applies to remission policies. Whilst there was reference in your November consultation document around remission for suits, there was not potentially enough information to allow that to have been deemed as consultation. Section 4B then says that the local authority may amend a policy adopted under this section at any time after consulting on the proposed amendments in a manner consistent with section 82. So that's what this is. You may have had the intent originally to not charge people with family members in those units, and that was your intent. It wasn't telegraphed clearly enough in the documentation, so that's why we've said in here we were not as clear as we could have been in that document. Now you're amending that with bringing in two others, so section 102.4B comes into play, which is why they need to be in here.
So if that just to sort of help understand, so what you're saying is that many months ago we consulted on rates review. More recently we consulted on the annual plan, but at no stage have we consulted on remissions policies.
No,
No,
you did consult
did.
on your rate remission policies. The wording in that consultation paper was not as clear as it could have been around your intent to remit suits for family members. And then obviously if we're then moving to bring that into two other spaces, section 102.4B comes into play because you're amending that remission policy.
And sorry, just to be really clear, the importance and I guess focus on remissions is because when you remit from one section of our community, that charge then is filtered out across the remaining sections. So actually it is an interest subject for all members of the community.
You have to have a budget for remissions because there's got to be an offset somewhere. So there is a budget for remissions, and that's what would fund these if they're granted. And we have to rescind the existing resolutions because you passed those resolutions. So in order to move forward to this consultation, we have to rescind that, consult, and then re-engage with the process. It is a technical process.
And the impact on people who might have been anticipating a remission in there.
We have, through the chair, we've written to, I think there was 17 people who had already come forward for those remissions, more to do with the original intent around using the family members. We've been in contact with all of those people. We have put penalty inhibitors on all accounts. And we have explained to them that we will re-engage once you've gone through the formal process in September and made a decision. So they have all been notified.
Any further points of general clarification? Right.
Oh, just one more thing before we move forward. This is only a 2-week consultation. This is not under the special consultative process. So this is not an SCP process. Section 82 talks around engagement with your community. You don't always have to have an SCP. So you have an SCP for your annual plan and your long-term plan. This is an engagement process. It doesn't have to have hearings. It doesn't have to have deliberations. We will bring the information back to the table and you will make a decision.
Okay, so through the chair, just to note that we've also sent through to the elected members an engagement plan for this consultation. Yes. So if the members have any further feedback in regards to the stakeholder list in particular, please let us know. Happy to take that on board.
Thanks very much. So we'll start by asking, do I have a mover to receive the report, please? I do. Councillor Gray, a second, Councillor Maynard. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we come to the, I think we can probably do 2, 3 and 4 together. So recommendation 2 is to rescind resolution DC 2024/41 parts 2, 3 and policy 4.5 included in the remission of rates policy. And recommendation 3 is to adopt appendix 1 from your agenda, statement of proposal and draft consultation for remission of UAG and uniform targeted rates in certain circumstances. Number 4 is a noting recommendation that consultation run from 22nd of July, which I think is next Monday, up until the 5th of August, which, as Janice said, is a fortnight. Do I have a mover for those 3? I do. Councillor Olds, a seconder. Councillor Gray, thank you very much. Councillor Olds, do you wish to talk to your motion?
No, I think it's pretty clear, some of the conversation that's been had this morning, plus reading the document.
Right. Councillor Gray.
I think not really much to say, except that a big thank you to Janice for the work that she's done around this, and the advice that you brought back to us was very clear, and it's a good straightforward plan, so thank you very much.
I just have one question to Justice. Councillor Plymouth talked about the cost of this exercise. In my head, I wouldn't have thought it was that costly, but can you comment, please?
Through the chair, no, it's not like going through an SCP process. It is a short consultation document. It will just be printed and made public to all the normal channels, but we won't require all of the mechanisms, like I say, around what you would do with an SCP. So this is really low key in that respect.
So we'll have hearings on this as well.
No hearings, no deliberations. This is just engagement, which is people think if you engage with section 82, you're doing an SCP every time and there will be hearings and deliberations. That's not the case. This is just an engagement process to get feedback, to inform a decision.
Right. Any follow-up comments? Well, I suspect there's no need for a right of reply. So we'll move to the voting. All of those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
And against, no. And the motion is carried. Thank you very much, Janice and Rob. I'll just repeat Rob's invitation. If you see something on the consultation document that gives concern, you know who to go to. So now we move to item B2, which is the Local Government New Zealand AGM. Now the AGM is it's a discrete part of the local LGNZ conference, and the conference is being held this year, I think, in September,
No,
end of August, and it's in Wellington. Last year, we were entitled to 3 delegates at the AGM, as we are this year. Last year, the 3 delegates were the acting or the interim CE, myself and Councillor Ray. This year we're being asked to once again nominate our 3 delegates to the AGM. The implication being probably that there'll be 3 people who will be at the conference, but that's not a requirement.
So I'd like to move that the Deputy Mayor is one of the delegates, along with the councillor. Is it Councillor? Sorry, Councillor Bosley.
Yeah,
okay. I was looking at the dates, actually, as well as trying. I mean, I'll need to check my very busy social calendar, but I'm sure.
So councillor,
I'm getting, I think,
yeah,
I think my nails pulled out.
and the mayor, I guess, are the three.
I think it would be very valuable to have the CE as one of those if you will be there, Jennifer. He's often,
Yes, I'll be there.
So that's the chief executive, the deputy mayor and councillor Bosley as secretary. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
second now.
So is that for A or B? Sorry, it's for A and then A, so for the recommendations, so I'm just, so your resolution is that the first A is the deputy mayor, and then B is
Oh, I was just
is
putting out.
CEO and the,
Sorry,
Through the chair, you need to nominate a presiding delegate and then two alternate delegates.
so we've got the three delegates, obviously, and we just have to sort out who's the presiding.
So we have to decide who the presiding.
That's right.
I would suggest it be the deputy mayor if those other three. Can I just do a double check? Martin, did you say you would be there?
Again,
Okay. The next thing is, it doesn't have to be decided instantly, but do the two of you wish to attend the full conference? So that's just a separate question. Okay, so, do we have a mover? We do. Councillor Olds moves that we receive the report. He moves that, Melissa attend as the presiding delegate and that Janice and, Martin Bosley attend as the other two delegates from this council. Councillor Olds moved, I think Councillor Gray seconded, I think. Any comments, questions? All in favour, please say aye.
very gladly, aye.
And that's that, carried. And I think
G'day, you ain't get back.
that brings us to the end of this part of the meeting. So we'll have a closing karakia, and once again, feel free to join in. Kua mutua mātou mahi, mō tēnei wā, manaka tia mai mātou katoa, o mātou boa, o mātou whānau, ai ki tu rangi. Thank you very much, and the meeting is closed and you can do what you need to do with the technology.